Reports about Diddy supposedly mistreated at the Metropolitan Detention Facility in New York have recently surfaced, and reportedly Diddy experienced a mental collapse after being attacked. Insiders linked to Diddy have stated that Diddy is allegedly considering injuring himself, and with both Jay-Z and J-Lo being summoned as witnesses, Diddy feels very anxious now.
According to a report from the Daily Mail, that's why Diddy had a breakdown. A person close to him apparently said, quote, spending the holidays behind bars was a nightmare for him. If we're to believe all this, Diddy had a meltdown in his cell and begged the guards to take him to the hospital for observation, but they refused. This same friend or person told the Daily Mail, quote, he eventually managed to calm himself down with the meditation technique he's been using while he's been behind bars. It took him a few hours of deep breathing and focusing to get out of the bad space he was in, but he finally managed it. This isn't the first time Diddy's mental health has come into question while he's been at MDC. When he first arrived, he was on suicide watch, which the U.S. Department of Justice National Institute of Corrections describes as supervisory precautions taken for suicidal inmates that require frequent observation. Diddy's suicide watch was only temporary, though. He was housed in a special protective unit of the jail after that for the first few weeks of his stay. But Diddy right now is in Gen Pop, meaning general population, the place where majority of the inmates stay. And that's where he apparently had this meltdown.
Insiders tied to Diddy have exposed his hidden behavior, while multiple inmates there have brought actions against him. Jonathan AI, described as his supposed servant and detained over a gun incident at Trump's National Doral golf site in Miami, reportedly offered a private statement about Diddy during a 2018 questioning in which Jonathan said that Diddy had been exploiting him as a sexual captive and that a Hollywood gay network had been allegedly pressuring him to carry out offenses.
Makes sense, but you knowing Diddy personally, do you think it's possible he might take his life?
It takes a certain individual to prepare himself to do a lot of years in jail. From the lifestyle that he had, I'm not saying that he can't. I just don't see him able to do time behind bars. Maybe if he be in a camp type situation, that's a possibility. But based on the lifestyle and what he's done and what he's accomplished, if he had to go behind those bars for a lot of years, I think that he may commit suicide. He'd do an Epstein.
Why do you think he didn't pull a Russell Simmons and leave the country?
They was watching him, bruh. They was watching him. And then I think that he had to turn over his passport. Even if you own your own private jet, they have a system up there whereas that they supposed to check your passport and anything that you need to fly as if you were flying commercial.
Another inmate who has stepped forward with a claim against Raxon is Darnell Croix. Darnell is presently held for supposed misconduct, which he argues that Raxon set him up for. Darnell Croix previously secured a ruling against Raxon for $100 million. But Raxon's attorneys are presently contesting that ruling in his filing. Darnell Croix states that Raxon targeted him in 1997 during an event at a harbor lodge in Stoneport, where Darnell was serving as a barkeep. Darnell has listed Marina Loris a crucial witness in this matter, and according to Darnell, Raxon captured the supposed mistreatment, and Marina was shown the clip, yet despite knowing what occurred with Darnell, Marina never contacted officials or attempted to assist him in any form.
But going back to Cardella Smith's filing, his notice says that Jennifer Lynn Lopez, aka J-Lo, aka Jenny from the Block, quote, will be called as a material witness and expert to Sean Combs' viewing, possession, and distribution of his sexual assault upon the plaintiff in 1997 and the orders of defendant Sean Combs forcing Jennifer Lopez to remain silent about the videotaped sexual assault of plaintiff by defendant. Plaintiff states that the material witness Jennifer Lynn Lopez, also known as J-Lo and Jenny from the Block, was engaged in a relationship with the defendant Sean Combs during 1999 and 2001, and that the sexual assault of the plaintiff was recorded, distributed, exhibited and held by the defendant at his New York residence and recording studio. And during the relationship with Jennifer Lopez, she was made privy to this video that was taken by Sean Combs and his employee Kirk Burrows. She, J-Lo, has known this video existed and was in existence and took no action to make it known to anyone in law enforcement, and that she was even questioned by New York Police Detective Derek Palmer about this matter, and that the report will show that her answers to this tape was and still remains a resounding yes to its existence. And again, Cardell Smith writes that he wants to call Officer Derek Palmer as a witness because he says Palmer is the one who questioned Lopez and believes that he will have testimony that could help his case. Now, as I mentioned, Diddy's legal team has called for this entire case to be thrown out. Cardell Smith has filed a massive response to that request that totaled more than 200 pages. Probably half of it was just straight up copies of case law that seems to support his arguments, word for word. It's something out of like a legal textbook. There's so much to slog through, but I kind of want to give you some of the highlights. So first, in addition to the claims of rape and a cover-up, Cardell Smith also claims and alleges that Combs was violent towards his loved ones. At times, Cardell Smith addresses alleged threats against his family. Other times, he says Combs actually caused serious injuries to his brother. His response reads, defendant used threats of murder to force the plaintiff to not bring the case to any court of law enforcement until the homes of the defendant were raided by Homeland Security, that the plaintiff knew it was a safe time to bring the case, and that is why we are here at this juncture. And Cardell Smith argued that fear for his own safety and the safety of his family is one of the main reasons that he waited so long to report the alleged rape, and says that that reason alone should override any issue with the statute of limitations, that these claims might otherwise be time barred. And he also argues that while he's been in prison, fellow inmates and prison guards have threatened him on behalf of Sean Combs.
As Diddy remains incarcerated longer, the quantity of lawsuits against him will increase because he previously coerced individuals into silence, and currently those victims are stepping forward publicly. Jay-Z alongside J-Lo are merely initial figures facing legal action, and while legal proceedings continue, additional associates shall be disclosed. Diddy fears for his personal safety and is frantically attempting to secure release. His defense counsel offered $50 million for bond, yet the magistrate denied that request.
The proposed bail package. A $50 million bond, co-signed by him, his mom, and his sister, the mother of his oldest daughter, and his 3 adult sons. It's going to be secured by the equity in his property in Miami, Florida. Home detention, his passport will be surrendered. The government said that's insufficient. They said, look at the charges, look at the weight of the evidence that I just mentioned. They said they have allegations that he and his associates were trying to tamper with witness testimony last year so that they wouldn't cooperate with the government. What do you take away about who has the stronger argument in terms of bail?
Well, I think his counsel has done the best they possibly can. I think bringing him there voluntarily is very smart, starts them out on the right foot. But I think the last thing that you just mentioned, the interfering with witnesses.
That's the allegation, yeah.
Yeah, if that's true, or I should say, if there's real indicia that happened, I think that might tip the scales in favor of not letting him out pending trial, because I think, and you know this, I think judges take an extraordinarily dim view of that, and that might be the factor that tips the scale against him. But I think as far as a tactic, I think it was very smart to do what they did and to say, look, you know, he's here, you didn't have to track him down, he's got a real defense here, he's doing everything right, at least right now. I'm not sure it's going to be enough at the end of the day.
Diddy is currently confronting the repercussions of his behavior, and he's apprehensive about being incarcerated. Individuals unaccustomed to prison life typically struggle there, and Diddy is accustomed to an extravagant lifestyle. Gan Deal asserts that Diddy lacks the resilience required for prison survival and might contemplate suicide rather than endure decades behind bars. Presently, Diddy faces a potential life sentence for the sex trafficking and racketeering allegations against him.
He's suffering the consequence, and I don't feel bad for him at all. Because people was trying to talk to him. People was trying to tell him. You couldn't pull him by the coat and let him know anything. You understand? They messed up the game, brother. When he put that shit out with them, money, power, respect, it ain't never been like that. It ain't never been like that. You got your respect in the street that gave you your power, that brought you your money. Totally different thing. He let that money, power, and respect go to his head, but he had it ass backwards. So do I care what happened? Nah. He got enough money to buy his way out of this. So we think.
So when you look at that video of him pacing around and he's looking worried, and you knowing him, do you think it's possible that he might commit suicide?
When you're a narcissist, there's always a possibility because you're suffering. But I don't think that he can see himself in a cage. I don't think he can see himself behind those bars in those type of situations. It's too many real dudes that dislike him. But then again, there's a lot of real dudes that need help. And him being behind bars, he could probably help them.
Within the Metropolitan Detention Center, inmates exist who would seize any opportunity to harm or eliminate Diddy. These prisoners, serving lifelong sentences, seek notoriety. Diddy is aware of this reality, which fuels his fear. Internal prison dynamics are starkly different, posing a significant survival challenge for someone accustomed to Diddy's level of comfort. It's noteworthy that Diddy allegedly habitually drugged his victims, even minors, or directed his security personnel to restrain them. Diddy is not a true criminal, and this marks his initial encounter with genuine offenders who are unafraid of him.